What's up, guys? Lucky Locks here. Welcome back to another prediction video. This is going to be for PFL Challenger Series 2. They got welterweights on this time and should be another good show. Obviously, it got off to a good start last week with the light heavyweights, coming down to 170 pounds here. And without further ado, let's get right into the first fight. First fight on the card is Chris Mixan versus Nathan Pierce. Mixan had a 6-0 amateur career with a 100% finish rate, 2-0 pro with a 100% finish rate as well. So that's something that you love to see. You love to see guys that are getting guys out of there early in their career. It normally bodes well for them going forward and displays that they do have. They have that finishing upside that you like to see. He did have a bare knuckle MMA fight on Gamebred FC, and he was finished in the first round there. And most recently, he was in the boxing ring back in November and won a decision in that one. But he's a decent striker. He works the jab, will kick to the body. Hands can be a little bit low at times. We've seen him get dropped when he's being a bit lax on defense. Pretty good combinations, though, when he starts flowing, especially while going through his amateur tape. I saw some stuff that I liked on the feet. Seems to have a pretty decent guard on the ground as well. Not seeing him in super high level situations, so kind of hard to get a read on how good he is, especially in the grappling. But he was able to get a come from behind submission win in his pro debut after being dropped by punches. He looks pretty strong against the cage. I also believe he's going to be the more athletic of the two fighters. Nathan Pierce is going to be his opponent here. He's a 3-1 pro. As an amateur, he had a lot of fights, but he was 9-8 there, and he was finished in 7 of those 8 losses, 6 times by knockout. But in his most recent fight, he has an Anaconda win over Bronco Busick, which is, a decent name at this level, a decent win right there as well. So Pierce uses the jab to find his range on the feet. We've seen him utilize the leg kicks quite a bit. Excels in kind of a grindy, dirty fight, which this could very well turn into. He is a good jiu-jitsu player, serviceable wrestler. I think this fight's going to be a pass for me. I think he could get a little sloppy. This was a short notice bout for both fighters. Kind of hard to tell what we're going to get here. And, I'll be 100% honest and say I don't really have the best read on this fight. But if I got to pick somebody, I'm going to go with Chris Mixan here. I feel like he's got the finishing upside. I feel like he's a bit of a better athlete. And I just feel like he's going to get the job done here. But not super confident because this has come together on short notice. And it is a bit of a lower level fight. But I am going to side with Chris Mixan in this one. Next up, we have Carlos Leal and Socrates Pierre, and Leal is the LFA welterweight champ, and he won that on the Grand Prix event on LFA 112, which was held in Brazil, and he picked up 2 wins in one night and got the belt. He has not lost since 2014. He's riding an 8-fight win streak with 5 finishes. He's got a 74.5-inch reach. He's aggressive on the feet, likes to come forward and pressure, lead the dance, so to speak. He's got accurate shots, crisp 1-2s, was able to get a nice walk-off KO with a straight right on LFA 112. Has some good Muay Thai in his back pocket, pretty good front kicks to keep the distance. He's also solid defensively in terms of the grappling. He's aware of where his hips are, has some good trip takedowns, pretty tricky on top, does well to advance and threaten with submissions on the mat. And he's coming up against Socrates Pierre here, a grizzled veteran at this point. He's 36 years old, coming in on 2 straight wins. He's 12-6 as a pro. Has a win over Michael Lilly, who we're going to see later on this card, and he has 2 fights with former UFC fighter Brock Weaver where he is 1-1, and the match where he won, he became the lightweight champ in Island fights. But, that was back in 2014. It was quite a while ago now. Pierre's 2 most recent losses were Preston Parsons and Tyler Hill. We saw them in the UFC and the PFL respectively. Pierre will have a slight reach advantage, I believe half an inch. And he's shown some decent wrestling and top control in his fights lately, but at 36 years old now, he is looking a little bit just a step slow in my opinion, and I'm not sure that he can keep up with an athletic younger guy who's also very skilled like Carlos Leal at this point. And guys, I think Leal will look much faster in there. I think he's going to look like the better fighter wherever this one goes. So I'm going with the LFA welterweight champ and Carlos Leal to win this one. This next fight should be a lot of fun. I feel like this is the most competitive match that we're going to see on this card. I really like the matchmaking here. And this is kind of more what I envisioned Challenger Series would be like, good prospects of this caliber going head-to-head. And we got 2 really good prospects in Dilano Taylor and Mark Martin. Taylor has a 7-1 record. He's the welterweight champ at Titan FC, training out of Sanford MMA. And, he has a win over Michael Lilly, who we talked about in the last breakdown. We're going to talk about again in the next one because he's in the next fight. And Taylor just defended his Titan FC 170-pound belt against Marcus Edwards in December. He won a split decision there. The one loss he has in his career is Roman Faraldo. Up-and-coming Bellator prospect, has been looking very good over there. Taylor is riding 6 wins coming into this fight, and he's nice and long. He's got a 77.5-inch reach. That'll give him 3.5 inches of cushion on Martin here. It's difficult to close the distance on Taylor because of that. He has, very good distance control. He knows where his feet need to be in relation to yours to stifle any offense that you're trying to generate. He also has a very good ground game. He's a jiu-jitsu brown belt. He's a big guy. He's got solid wrestling, strong body lock. He was a wrestler in his high school days. If he does want to wrestle here, I feel like Mark Martin is definitely going to be ready to meet that challenge. But I do think that Taylor can at least keep it competitive there. Martin has an identical record of 7-1, had a nice 3-0 stint on LFA featuring a good win over Renato Valente, and he got a win on Combache most recently, and he's on a 6-fight win streak right now, just like Taylor is. So Martin fights out of the southpaw stance. He has good liver kicks from southpaw, decent striker, uses feints and fakes the level change to keep opponents guessing. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be against Taylor. I don't think he will be quite as fearful of the grappling as some of Martin's other opponents. I would like to see a little bit more output on the feet from Martin. The guy wrestled at Ohio State. I believe he is the better pure wrestler of the two. I think Taylor will be at least competitive there, like I mentioned, and will be the superior jiu-jitsu player. I think Taylor's going to be the better striker, have a little bit more volume, control the range a little better, and be able to utilize his length. Martin fighting southpaw could make things a little different, but I think Taylor has the advantage standing. Wrestling advantage, I'm going to give that to Mark Martin, but I think it's only slight. I don't think he's going to be able to get Taylor down at will or anything like that. And if they do hit the ground, I give Taylor the edge once they're down there. So I think that Dilano Taylor is the slightly more complete fighter at this point in his career, and I'm going to pick the Titan FC champion to get the win. Alright, that brings us up to the main event. We have Hussein Al-Silawi and Michael Lilly facing off. Al-Silawi is the welterweight and super welterweight champ in Brave CF. Some extremely impressive wins over there, including Carlston Harris. This guy's got a 16-3 record. He's very polished to be on the show, to be honest. Probably could just jump right into the PFL. And, I will say I wasn't sure really what the format was of this series when they announced it. I didn't know if they were taking everybody who got a win, just somebody who gets a win. It looks like they're taking one person that gets an impressive win per card. And I kind of thought that it didn't really matter how you win. I thought they were just going to kind of take the best available prospect. And last week, I thought that, as long as Josh Silveira got a win in relatively impressive fashion, they would be signing him. And that wasn't the case. They went with Bruce Sutso, also a very good fighter. This guy, Al-Silawi, I feel like even if his win isn't the most impressive one on the card, they're probably not going to just let this guy walk. I feel like if there's any fighter in this series that they're going to want to kind of take no matter what, I feel like, having looked ahead at the future cards, I feel like this might be the guy. So with that said, let's get back to the breakdown. Al-Silawi has good output on the feet. He likes the kicks to the body, good kicks to the legs. He stopped Ismail Nardiev on leg kicks in just over 6 minutes in his last fight. That's a really impressive win right there. He also knocked out Carlston Harris in round 1, man. I mean, this guy's resume is just absolutely glowing. He has a strong clinch game, has some trips and throws he looks for against the cage. He's a good wrestler both offensively and defensively with a good top game, dangerous ground and pound. And he does a good job of keeping his head high in the scrambles, maintaining dominant position. The cardio is also very good. This guy is a well-conditioned athlete. And he's coming in here against Michael Lilly, right? So Lilly's a 7-6 fighter. He's 32 years old. His most recent fight was Dilano Taylor on Titan in 2020. Obviously, he was defeated in that match. He's also fought Socrates Pierre. He's also fought both Nico Price and Jason Jackson. So he has some impressive names on the resume. Just not that many impressive wins in the context of this matchup. And I'll be 100% honest, this kind of feels like a setup for Al-Silawi. I think that Al-Silawi will be better anywhere this fight goes. I think that he is very likely the best prospect, at least on paper, that we're going to see in the Challenger Series this year. So I'm going with Jarrah Hussein Al-Silawi to win this one. I feel like he is probably the best prospect up for grabs on this card, and I think that PFL is definitely looking to snatch him up here. Anything could happen. I'm not sure. You never know, but I do feel like there's a very good chance we see Al-Silawi in the PFL tournament this season. So that's going to do it for my PFL Challenger Series 2 picks this week, guys. Couldn't really get around to any underdogs, and honestly, I don't know if I'm going to get around to making any bets just in general on this one. I didn't make any last week. There just wasn't any lines that were really speaking to me, and it's kind of looking like more of the same this week. The guys that I like are big favorites, and I'm not really that high on any of the dogs. So, yeah, unfortunately not too eventful this week for me, but we're always going to get the breakdowns out no matter what. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Have a great day. Best of luck with any bets you choose to make, and I'll catch you on the next one.